Chloe kept a young lover on the side, and he kept demanding a proper status. To appease him, Chloe handed him the role I had fought so hard to secure. She was confident I wouldn't divorce her. During the press conference for the new drama, she even boldly wore matching couple rings with him. In front of a live audience of thousands, with countless media cameras trained on me, everyone waited to see me humiliated. But I calmly took out the divorce papers. Chloe slammed the table on the spot, sabotaging all my brand collaborations. She even declared that within a month, I would be begging for reconciliation. Yet later, on a stormy night, she was the one who drove recklessly through the rain, soaked to the skin, standing at my door begging for forgiveness. But a woman who had just returned to the country stopped her at the door, smiling lightly. "Ex-wife, don't bother calling. He's too tired to hear you." When the male lead for the movie Daylight was announced, my studio fell into chaos. What's going on? They changed the actor without a word. Why didn't anyone inform us beforehand? We cleared the next 3 months for this shoot, Ava. My manager Ava dialed the production team with a grim expression, only to be brushed off with a few words. "Why don't you have Matthew call Chloe and ask her himself?" Chloe was the largest investor in Daylight, and she was also my wife. Everyone in the studio immediately turned to look at me, urging me silently. I lowered my head and stared at the name of the new lead actor, a sinking feeling spreading through my chest. Anthony. Rumor had it that he was the young lover Chloe kept outside. Until now, I hadn't taken it too seriously. Despite our long marriage, even if Chloe didn't hold me in her heart, she had never done anything this outrageous so openly. But this time, to appease the young lover demanding recognition, Chloe handed over the lead role I had fought so hard to obtain. She knew exactly how important this role was to me. I called her 3 times, but no one answered. Ava patted my shoulder and tried to comfort me. "Go home and ask her properly. You sacrificed so much to get this role. There's no need to lose it out of spite." But that night, Chloe didn't come home. I sat on the couch, waiting from dusk until dawn, before she finally returned. She glanced at me lightly, with no intention of explaining herself. I finished the last sip of my tea and looked up at her. "Why did you replace me?" "Because I felt like it," Chloe replied casually. Then she tilted her head and smiled. "What, are you upset?" Chloe had always known how to infuriate me with her indifference. She walked over and bent down slightly to look at me, her eyes full of mockery. Does the great actor Matthew, who can get anything he wants on his own, really care about a mere lead role? The sarcasm was unmistakable. Chloe had once grabbed me by the collar and told me, "Matthew, as long as you please me, I can put you in any position you desire." Now she was showing me, through her actions, how wrong I had been to reject her back then. In the past, I would have been too lazy to argue with her, but this time was different. Daylight meant too much to me. It held all the beautiful memories of me and that person. Ava's words echoed in my mind. I suppressed the emotions surging inside me and spoke softly. "I spent months preparing for this role." "I know," Chloe interrupted casually. My eyebrows twitched as I looked up at her. "You want the role back? What can you do?" She lowered her eyes, laughing softly. "But I don't want to give it to you." The conversation ended on a sour note. Ava came to me more than once, and I lay on the couch in silence for a long while before finally speaking, my voice hoarse. "It's not out of spite. Chloe knows how much I care. She's doing it on purpose." Ava fell silent. After a long pause, she whispered, "What kind of marriage is this?" Yes, what kind of marriage was this? It had been a marriage of convenience from the beginning. Chloe was the princess of the capital, with status and wealth. Everyone thought I was shamelessly clinging to power. But no one knew that Chloe was the one who promised to love me, word by word. Before I could even agree, the Wong family had already nodded and sent me to Chloe's side. Gradually, Chloe began taking her frustrations out on me. When she was drunk, she would touch my face and repeatedly ask, "Matthew, am I really that unworthy of your love? Without me, would the Wong family be where it is today? Pleasing me, isn't that what your Wong family does best?" She loved to look down on me in my despair. As if pitying and redeeming me, she would softly coax, "Beg me, Matthew." She knew I would never beg. And she was certain I wouldn't ask for a divorce because of the Wong family. So she humiliated me again and again, watching me lose face in front of everyone. Chloe made an offer. If I could stand at the entrance of the banquet with her favorite cake and wait to take her home the day after tomorrow, she would return the role to me. Ava's expression darkened. The day after tomorrow, all the big names in the industry will be there. Making you stand at the door, this is pure humiliation. Even if she wants to give the role to Anthony, she doesn't have to treat you like this. Ava advised me to let go of the role, but I still agreed. Is this movie really that important to you? She asked. I nodded slightly. Yes. Very important. Unfortunately, it rained heavily that day. I stood at the entrance of the banquet holding an umbrella. Eyes kept falling on me, whispers filling the air. I heard he's doing this to please Chloe. Why act all high and mighty in the first place? No background, no connections. Of course he has to resort to these low tactics. So embarrassing, but what a pity. I said nothing, watching the rainwater form a line and drip from the edge of the umbrella. It wasn't until midnight that I understood what they meant by pity. Chloe never came. I was soaked to the bone, the laughingstock of the entire event. My fingers trembled from the cold. Chloe didn't answer her phone, but I received a message from an unknown number. I heard you waited all night. So sorry, Chloe flew to S-City to celebrate my birthday. Attached was a photo of an exquisite birthday cake. I stared at it coldly for a few seconds, then tossed the cake aside and walked away. Chloe never returned my calls, but she did update her social media. It was deleted quickly, but someone still managed to screenshot it. In the romantic setting of a Ferris wheel, the reflection in the glass vaguely showed two people kissing. Ava was furious, cursing Chloe as a monster. News traveled fast in the industry, and I became a joke everyone laughed at. Even so, I still didn't get the role back. Chloe looked at me, her eyes crinkling with laughter. Matthew, even if you had gone, I wouldn't necessarily have given the role back to you. After all, I never promised. Her tone was as indifferent as ever. A chill ran through me as I looked at her coldly. Perhaps my anger amused her, because she covered her mouth and laughed even harder. Matthew, it's been a long time since I've seen you like this. But the role has already been decided. It can't be changed. She leaned closer, her voice tinged with amusement. I won't make you wait in vain either. From now on, you can pick any script you want. Chloe, I interrupted suddenly. I met her eyes for a few seconds and said calmly, let's get a divorce. Her smile froze. She studied me closely. Didn't anyone ever tell you? She lifted her hand, her finger tracing my cheek. Some jokes aren't meant to be taken lightly. The project the Wong family is negotiating right now, I could destroy it with just one word. As if to confirm it, a message from the Wong family popped up on my phone. I turned away. There was no need to read it. Chloe lowered her eyes, her smile returning. She spoke softly, with absolute certainty. Matthew, you can't live without me. After that day, Chloe indulged Anthony even more, almost as if out of revenge. Whatever he wanted, she gave him. Messages from Anthony came from time to time. Chloe gave me a limited edition watch. I heard it's the one you've always wanted. Take a look. Thanks to you, otherwise I wouldn't have met such a wonderful Chloe. Oh, by the way, don't wait for her. I'm taking Chloe to watch the fireworks. The numbers changed again and again, but I could never block them all. The better Chloe treated Anthony, the more comments about me flooded online. Rumors spread like wildfire. Thank God Matthew finally ruined himself. What does a marriage of convenience matter? True love wins. Hey Matthew, when are you going to step aside for our beloved Anthony? Divorce? As if he'd dare. Everyone assumed I wouldn't dare divorce her. So did Chloe. She grabbed my phone, stared at the comments for a few seconds, then looked up at me with a smile. So you do care. She leaned closer, alcohol on her breath brushing my ear. Then why can't you just ask me? Matthew, beg me. Say the words I want to hear. Whatever Anthony has, I can give you too. I looked at her quietly. That night, when I mentioned divorce, Chloe didn't take it seriously at all. In this game, She was always pulling the strings. She understood better than anyone how public opinion could affect me. She wanted to see me humiliated, isolated, begging her. But I wouldn't. I pushed her away. "Don't come any closer. You're filthy." Chloe froze, her face turning pale. When the Wong family called again, I finally went back. The room was full of people, and none of their expressions were welcoming. They were clearly unhappy about Anthony's emergence. My father, Daniel Wong, scolded me. "How can you fail at something as simple as pleasing Chloe? Have you seen what's being said about us online?" I let out a cold laugh. "You're aware of what they're saying about the Wong family too, aren't you?" Daniel's face darkened. "Regardless, we can't lose this project. You can't afford to mess things up with Chloe." I nodded. "The project won't be lost, but this will be the last time." His brief relief vanished. "What do you mean, the last time?" "The Wong family has gained enough over the years. It's time you learned to stand on your own. This project will be my final act of endurance. Once it's done, I'll divorce Chloe." Before I could finish, Daniel slapped me without hesitation. "Who do you think you are? Without the Wong family, would you have what you do today?" I turned my head, the sting spreading across my face, then looked him straight in the eye and finished coldly. "The future Matthew will have nothing to do with the Wong family." I didn't listen to what they said after that. Once the project was over, we would be even. As I walked out, the sunlight overhead burned my eyes. A new message notification pulled me back to reality. News about Charlotte Lynn, the heir of the Lynn family, was trending. I stared at the name, memories surging uncontrollably. That night, I dreamed of a quiet, warm afternoon. I finished the last page of a book and waved at the girl standing in the sunlight. "When I become an actor, I want to play the male lead in this book." She smiled with her eyes and asked why. "Because I like this story. The male and female leads will always be together." She laughed. "But outside the story, we will be too. I'll watch our Matthew become a great actor and play the lead in this book." Later, I was the one who pushed her away with my own hands. On a rainy day, she clutched the umbrella handle and smiled mockingly. "Yes. The female lead was never me." I woke up suddenly, sweat covering my forehead. The darkness of the room felt suffocating. The day the Wong family's project was finalized happened to coincide with Chloe's company's new product launch. The venue was unusually lively. Rumors that Chloe would bring Anthony had already spread, drawing countless media outlets eager for gossip. Before I left, Ava tugged at my sleeve. "Do you really have to go? In a formal setting like this, if Chloe brings Anthony, it'll be deliberate humiliation." I nodded. She opened her mouth to say more, but her expression suddenly darkened. I glanced at her screen. In the live broadcast, Chloe had indeed brought Anthony. They stood side by side, outfits carefully coordinated. The media zoomed in eagerly on the matching couple rings on their hands, and the frenzy erupted. The live-stream chat instantly exploded. "Chloe really brought him couple rings? This is too much. Does she really think Matthew won't ask for a divorce? There's no way he'll divorce her, especially with the Wong family involved." I stopped watching and went straight to find Chloe. The moment I arrived, countless eyes turned toward me, filled with anticipation, eager for a spectacle. Anthony smiled and spoke first. "Don't misunderstand. I insisted on buying matching rings with Chloe." I replied coldly, "Well, I believe that's the ring Chloe bought for me, the one I refused. If you like it, feel free to wear it." Anthony's face instantly turned pale. Chloe looked at me in surprise, lowering her voice. "So you finally decided to come find me?" I nodded. "Yes. I have something to discuss with you." She suddenly smiled. "Matthew, I told you, you can't live without me. But coming to beg me now, isn't it a bit late?" The moment Anthony appeared beside her, I was destined to become the laughingstock of the entire city. This was exactly what Chloe wanted. Humiliating me had always been her method. Her voice rose deliberately, loud enough for everyone to hear, and the gazes directed at me grew even more contemptuous. "Matthew really came to beg her. I actually want to see what he'll say." Those words reached both of us, making Chloe's smile widen further. She straightened her posture, clearly waiting for my performance. Calmly, under everyone's gaze, I pulled out the divorce papers. "It's not too late." I handed her a pen. "Just sign it if you agree." Chloe was still smiling, but the moment her eyes landed on the papers, her expression froze. The lively atmosphere instantly turned cold. The room fell into silence. "What do you mean?" she demanded through clenched teeth. "Weren't you here to apologize? Matthew, do you really dare to divorce me?" It was rare to see Chloe like this. She stared at the divorce papers for a long time before letting out a laugh, filled more with anger than amusement. "Do you really think the Wang family only has this one project with the Shen family?" She shoved the papers back into my hands. "I'll give you some time to reconsider. Matthew, if you take this back now, I can pretend none of this ever happened." "No need to think about it," I replied coldly. "Just sign." Chloe was certain I wouldn't leave her for the sake of the Wang family. I was just as certain that someone as obsessed with appearances as she was wouldn't refuse to sign in front of everyone. The whispers around us grew louder. More cameras were raised, greedily capturing every second. This kind of gossip was irresistible. Chloe glanced around, her face darkening. She slammed the table, gripping the pen so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Fine. Matthew, it won't be long. You'll come crawling back to me like a dog." News of our divorce immediately trended everywhere. The Wang family contacted me faster than I expected. When Daniel raised his hand to strike me, I caught his wrist and flung it aside. His face turned pale as he hurled insults at me, terrified of offending the Shen family. I stood on the overpass, watching the endless stream of traffic below, my gaze cold as I listened to his fury. "Instead of venting on me," I said, "you should think about the future of the Wang family. I won't be a sacrificial pawn again." Daniel left in a rage. I remained there long after he was gone. As night fell, I sat on the overpass with several bottles of alcohol, drinking them one by one. The sky grew completely dark, and an especially cold autumn rain began to fall. Yet not a single drop touched me. A quiet umbrella hovered above my head. The fingers holding it were just as elegant as they had been years ago. My heart skipped. The alcohol caught in my throat, and I couldn't speak. I never thought Charlotte would want to see me again. Of all the reunions I had imagined, I never expected us to sit silently beneath an overpass, drinking together. The rain sounded soft, and neither of us spoke. We drank until midnight. When my head began to spin, she spoke quietly. "You're not doing well." My fingers trembled around the bottle. Charlotte moved closer, her voice hoarse. "Why won't you look at me?" I had pushed her away with my own hands. I had no right to expect anything from her. But maybe it was the alcohol, or maybe I missed her too much. Looking at her, I couldn't push her away again. My body stiffened as her lips drew closer. They were warm. When I regained full awareness, I found myself in Charlotte's home. The rain drummed steadily outside, filling the room with a subtle tension. Soft gasps mixed with the sound of rain as I stared at the person beneath me, afraid it was all a dream. The rain intensified, her teeth biting into her lip as she struggled to stay in control. Her low whispers echoed in my ears, "Not too fast, Matthew," before being swallowed by the downpour. The night was long, destined to last. When I woke, I stared at the mess around me and almost wanted to run away. Charlotte came out of the kitchen, sadness in her eyes. "Are you leaving?" I froze, unsure how to answer. "It's okay," she said quietly, lowering her gaze. "It was just 2 hours." She turned away. "If you want to leave, just go." I stayed and ate breakfast in silence, never daring to look at her. Every time I did, memories of the cruel words I'd once said resurfaced. Neither of us spoke. She drove me to the studio and left. Before going, she said softly, "I'm preparing dinner tonight. It might be a bit troublesome, so if you don't want to come, that's fine." I opened my mouth to respond, but she had already driven away. I couldn't refuse the Charlotte who had returned, nor did I want to. Even if it was only a brief moment, I would be content. Angering Chloe brought swift retaliation. She cut off all my brand collaborations and publicly declared that within a month I would be begging her to reconcile. I expected difficulties, but not to this extent. She wanted me to bow my head. I was blacklisted online, rejected everywhere, and roles I auditioned for were handed to others. Even so, Ava refused to leave my side. I looked at her and said, "It might be tough for a while." Ava said nothing, only handed me a stack of documents. "No matter how hard it gets, Matthew, you won't stop here." Chloe's influence was vast, but not absolute. Any role I could get, I gave it everything I had. She couldn't keep me down forever. Charlotte picked me up every evening for dinner. She never brought up the past. Those days were so peaceful it felt like we had returned to the beginning. At night, she would gently nibble my earlobe, whispering repeatedly in the midst of passion, "Do you want to have me?" I looked at her, restraining myself, but she was patient, her fingers slowly trailing downward. Like a lone boat on an endless sea, I surrendered to the waves, unable to escape. After the divorce, Chloe never gave Anthony a proper status. Ava showed me a video shot in a dim bar. Anthony, eyes red with frustration, questioned her. "You're divorced. Why can't you give me a place by your side?" Chloe laughed. "And what's your status?" She touched the ring on her finger with certainty. "This position is already taken. Matthew will come back." I laughed coldly. Chloe was still waiting for me. She monitored my every move, interfering wherever she could. After multiple failed auditions, someone finally admitted, "It's not that you're unqualified. It's just that Chloe. Matthew, maybe you should stop fighting her. Just apologize and everything will be resolved." I laughed. Apologize? What did I do wrong? Leaving Chloe is the one thing I don't regret. The moment I finished speaking, something shattered behind me. I turned around as the door slowly opened. Chloe stood there, her face dark with fury, eyes locked on me, her smile icy. "Matthew, what did you just say?" Chloe never imagined I would truly leave. She waited for me to give up and return. When I didn't, she grew desperate, escalating her efforts to trap me again, but failed. That was why she came here, wanting to hear it from me directly. She hadn't expected this answer. Furious, she dismissed everyone else. As I turned to leave, she grabbed my wrist. "Have you had enough? Without me, the Wong family is in chaos. And look at you, you're a mess." She touched my face with pity. "Matthew, don't you see? You can't live without me. Just beg me and I—" "What is that?" Her voice suddenly sharpened as she stared at my neck. Her face twisted with rage. I touched it, suddenly remembering last night. Chloe fixated on the mark, completely losing control. "Matthew, what is this? Let go." I shook her off. She stumbled back, then calmed herself, swallowing hard. "Explain." "I'll listen." I straightened my clothes and laughed lightly. "What kind of relationship do we have that I owe you an explanation?" "Matthew," she frowned. "Don't call me that. And the Wong family has nothing to do with me anymore. Don't threaten me with them. As for ruining my career, go ahead. I'll take it. But Chloe, you can't trap me." With each word, her face grew paler. She stared at me in disbelief. "You didn't divorce me because of Anthony or out of spite. From the very beginning, you really wanted to leave me. After all these years, you never felt anything for me." I looked at her coldly. "No, never. I made it clear from the start." Chloe shook her head, laughing bitterly. "Matthew, I don't believe you." After that, Chloe began appearing everywhere. Every time she showed up, my auditions failed. She would just stand there, calmly watching. Ava nearly exploded with anger more than once, but I stopped her. "Chloe is vindictive. Don't provoke her for my sake." Eventually, I was offered a role as a vicious supporting character, unexpected in this situation. When I saw Anthony cast as the male lead, I understood. He joined the crew to make things difficult. But he hadn't expected this role to demand real skill. Scenes were red-hot repeatedly because of his poor acting. Frustrated, he snapped at me. "How can I perform with something so irritating around?" Coincidentally, I felt the same. As I left, I said calmly, when you climb by relying on others, make sure you hold on tight. A fall can be ugly. Anthony was furious. I could imagine his desperation as Chloe's interest in him faded. That evening, the sunset was beautiful. For me, simply being able to act was already enough. I didn't see Charlotte for a whole month. Afraid of dragging her into this mess, I kept turning away. This time, she grabbed my wrist before I could escape. Stop hiding. The air was cold, her words colder. She had clearly waited a long time. Her fingers were icy. She looked at me with sadness. I know you're avoiding me because of Chloe. Matthew, if you don't want me around, I won't come anymore. But after everything she's done to you, are you really going to choose her? I stood there, stunned, pain tearing through my chest. Years ago, she stood before me the same way, smiling as she said, yes. I was never the lead. Back then, I really was too weak. Forced by the Wong family's threats, I said cruel things to Charlotte, even going so far as to admit that I had fallen in love with Chloe. I never expected that Charlotte would still misunderstand things like this now. Before I could explain, Charlotte suddenly let go of my hand. She sniffed, then forced a light-hearted smile. I understand now. She nodded with a smile. You told me before, I'm not the lead. But even so, Charlotte. I cut her off, pulling her into a kiss before she could finish. Her body stiffened instantly. My voice was hoarse, my words coming out unevenly. Charlotte, I love you. I've always loved you. I didn't choose Chloe. I was just afraid of dragging you down. Her eyelashes fluttered slightly. And now, I continued, now I'm more afraid of you leaving. In the past, I was too cowardly. Because of that, we missed out on so much. This time, I don't want to push the person I love away again. A faint smile curved Charlotte's lips. She wrapped her arms around my neck and deepened the kiss. Through the haze, I finally heard the words she hadn't been able to finish earlier. She whispered softly, but even if I'm not the lead, I still love you. After that day, the ever-clingy Chloe suddenly stopped appearing. I asked Charlotte, was this your doing? Charlotte looked at me calmly. I know you want to handle things on your own, so I haven't interfered during this time. But this time, it wasn't for you. The Wong family has monopolized resources for too long. It's time for the Lin family to take a share. So I gave Chloe a little trouble, just a heads up. The company's issues should keep her busy for a while. Charlotte didn't like talking about Chloe, so she quickly changed the subject. Our great actor Matthew, you need to keep working hard. I know you did your best for Daylight, so don't be sad. Just keep moving forward. And if you ever get tired, I'll always be right behind you. Charlotte was always like this, gentle and understanding. In that moment, I decided that I couldn't become a stain on her life. At the very least, the me of today still didn't measure up to her. In the months that followed, I threw myself completely into my work. Every role I accepted, I treated with the utmost seriousness. I wanted to stand beside Charlotte through my own efforts. Later, I found out that the little trouble Charlotte mentioned was actually a crisis that kept Chloe tied up for months. And the real reason Charlotte returned this time was to go after the Shun family. Anthony's poor acting in his lead role soon became a trending topic, with people mocking him across social media. Meanwhile, I unexpectedly gained popularity for portraying a villain whose malevolence and madness felt disturbingly real. The audience resonated with it. My fanbase grew by millions, and Ava was overwhelmed by the flood of commercial brand deals. On New Year's Eve, Ava, who was rarely sentimental, confessed that she had watched me persevere through everything. During the hardest times, when Chloe made life so miserable that even drinking water made me choke, we had still held on. Fortunately, we had gritted our teeth and made it through, and now things were finally getting better. Ava admitted that when I announced my divorce during that live stream, she hadn't expected it, but she supported me completely. No matter how difficult things became afterward, she never once thought about leaving. I chuckled. Ava immediately said, "Don't laugh yet. Explain what's going on with Charlotte." I was stunned. Charlotte and I had been trying hard to avoid any suspicion. Because I felt I wasn't worthy of standing beside her at that time, I kept telling myself I needed to become better first. But clearly, nothing escaped Ava's eyes. She said, "As long as you're happy, that's all that matters." But Charlotte isn't just anyone. I've heard that Chloe is still digging around for information about you. Now that you've become better and have an even more remarkable partner, I wonder what Chloe's reaction will be when she finds out. I smiled and told Ava that it was New Year's Eve, so we shouldn't mention unpleasant people. But Chloe was destined to be the one who ruined everything. She came to find me on New Year's Eve. I didn't want her to ruin my mood, so I tried to leave, but she blocked my way again and again. "Matthew, it's New Year's Eve. It's been months. How long are you going to keep this up?" I stuffed my hands into my pockets and looked at her coldly. "I've been waiting for you to come back and apologize," Chloe said, frowning. "But you're so stubborn. You just refuse to bow your head and beg me. You've been gone for so long, making decisions on your own." She lowered her gaze toward me. "I can let it go." "Matthew," she sighed, finally making a concession. "As long as you soften your stance, even just one word, I can forgive everything that's happened. I can give you the resources and brands you want. I just need you to bow your head." She spoke earnestly, but I laughed. I had thought she might have changed over these months, but she hadn't changed at all. "Chloe, there's only one thing I want to say to you now." She leaned closer. I whispered, "Get lost." Her face darkened instantly. "Matthew, I came to you personally. What more do you want? Why do you think I would come back?" I asked calmly. "From the very beginning, you and the Wong family never treated me like a person. You provided resources to the Wong family, and they provided a person. No one ever cared how I felt. I was nothing more than a commodity in your transaction." Chloe interrupted angrily, "That's because I genuinely liked you. I really wanted to be with you." "But you never asked for my choice," I said. "You never gave me respect. Chloe, your so-called love, someone like you, your love is cheap." She opened her mouth to argue, but before she could speak, Charlotte suddenly appeared. "Oh, you still have time to flirt here," Charlotte said lightly. "Have you handled the company's issues yet?" The moment she spoke, Chloe's irritation exploded. It was obvious Charlotte had caused her plenty of trouble recently. Chloe narrowed her eyes. "What are you doing here?" "Picking up my husband from work." At those words, Chloe instantly froze. It was New Year's Eve, and everyone else had already gone home. She looked around, then slowly focused her gaze on me. She watched in disbelief as Charlotte walked over, adjusted my collar, stood on her tiptoes, and gave me a light kiss. Then Chloe completely lost control. "Matthew, who is she?" she demanded, staring at me. "Matthew, come here. Don't stand next to her." She stood in the darkness, her voice trembling. "You chose her. Is it because of Anthony? Because you're mad at me? I've already cut ties with Anthony. He'll never come between us again. Matthew." I gently adjusted Charlotte's scarf and turned to interrupt Chloe. "Chloe, do you remember when I told you I never had feelings for you? Because there's someone I've always liked. Really liked." "Don't say it," she whispered, her lashes trembling. "Matthew, don't say it." I held Charlotte's hand and looked at Chloe. "Now, the person I love has come back." Chloe ended up in the hospital that New Year's Eve. She was so furious with Charlotte that it happened. I wasn't sure what Charlotte said to her because she covered my ears, but it definitely wasn't anything nice. Chloe spent the new year in the hospital and remained in a deep slump for a long time. Ava couldn't hide her smile whenever she mentioned it. When I saw Anthony again, our positions had completely reversed. I was now the popular male lead, while he had become an obscure supporting actor, constantly scolded for his poor performance and met with cold stares on set. As I walked past him, I smiled, just like that rainy night when I received his message, and said, "I heard you really wanted this lead role. Sorry, but I got it through my own acting skills." Anthony gritted his teeth in anger but couldn't do anything. Chloe had already abandoned him, and with his limited ability, climbing back up was nearly impossible. Eventually, his name faded from the industry. After Chloe was discharged from the hospital, she abandoned her arrogant demeanor and began sending me all kinds of limited edition gifts. She waited outside overnight with a cake, experiencing everything I had once gone through. No one expected Chloe, who had always been so ruthless with her words, to become this humble. Before that, she had sought out Charlotte, even trying to use past events to drive a wedge between us. Charlotte had only said calmly, "Matthew went through a lot while I was gone. I can't bear to blame him. I only blame myself for not being strong enough back then, for not seeing things clearly. Love often feels like a debt. Chloe, someone as selfish as you might never understand that." The entrance was soon piled high with Chloe's gifts. Charlotte quietly looked at them and asked me, "What should we do with these?" Before I could answer, she looked away. "If you like them and want to keep them, that's fine. I won't mind." I laughed and pulled her into my arms. "Charlotte, why do I sense a bit of jealousy here?" She pretended to be gentle, sweet, and understanding. In reality, not a single piece of those gifts, not even the ribbons, was left behind. Those who were waiting for me to return to Chloe never got the ending they expected. Instead, they received news of my engagement to Charlotte. The day after the engagement announcement, heavy rain poured down. When Chloe heard the news, she lost control, speeding through the rain to reach me. Soaked to the bone, she stood outside the door and knocked carefully. "Matthew, is the engagement news true? Are you mad at me? I went after Anthony just to get your attention. I just wanted you to feel something, anything, for me. I wanted you to try to love me. I didn't know how to love before. Matthew, can you give me another chance?" She poured her heart out, but I didn't hear any of it. By then, I was already too tired to care. When the door finally opened, it wasn't me she saw, it was Charlotte. Leaning against the doorframe, Charlotte smiled, sweet yet sharp. "Still eavesdropping on other people, huh? Too bad. My husband is tired and can't hear you. Oh, and instead of wasting your time drooling over someone else's husband, why don't you go check on your own company? It seems it might not last much longer." For once, Chloe didn't argue. She looked at Charlotte with reddened eyes and asked softly, "Can I see him just once?" Before she could finish, Charlotte mercilessly shut the door in her face. My wedding with Charlotte was exceptionally grand. Coincidentally, on that same day, the Wang family stood on the brink of collapse, and the Shen family went bankrupt. Chloe got into a car accident on her way to the wedding. When Charlotte heard the news, she smiled, her eyes curving. How lucky! Everything good happens on the same day. She remained in an especially good mood all day, and by evening, her mood only improved. She leaned close, whispering in my ear, her breath warm and teasing, as she wrapped a strip of cloth, who knows from where, around my wrist. Her voice was sweet and innocent. "Could we? Just for tonight?" The moment I saw the cloth, I had a bad feeling. Lately, Charlotte had been getting more creative with her ideas. Before I could respond, she suddenly deflated. "Never mind if you don't want to. It's just that my husband promised on our wedding night, but it's okay if you don't want to." Always sweet and understanding, she leaned in to kiss me. "It's really okay." At times like this, there was no room for disagreement. In the end, it was Charlotte who ended up being tied up. The long night stretched on. She regretted it more than once, but never got the chance to finish a full sentence.